Hey, you. You're finally awake. As you already know, there aren't many places left under our control. Everything you see in red are where the zombie infestation had taken over. Only a few major cities and industrial zones remain. That's it. Your job is to think strategically and guide our team to success. TDS is the foundation of our society's defense system. We are the only thing standing between survival and extinction. Out of every possible candidate, you stood out on top. From here on out, your team's lives will be in your hands. Today, you're going on your first mission with them. Do not let the team down.
What you just saw was the start of the newest addition Paradoxum has made to the TDS, their all-new story mode. And today, I'm going to be going through all of the content that's been given to us in these first 4, technically 8 if you count the tutorial, missions they've given us. But hey, where are my manners? Hey nerds, Nerdy here. Recently, Tower Defense Simulator has received a new game mode? I guess that's what I would call it. A new game mode that functions as the game's campaign. As you could probably tell from the intro of this video, that being the opening cutscene of the aforementioned campaign, it takes itself decently seriously, which I quite like. I always felt that TDS could have a very serious story if it wanted, and I think this campaign's first few missions and cutscenes do pull that off well. It's not super dark, which makes sense. Younger audiences and myself, whom I will not include myself in, 19 is absolutely unk to still be playing TDS, prefer if it has a balance of seriousness and comedy. The people that like much darker storylines and gameplay go play TDX already, which... I'm sorry for even bringing the name up. Okay, to make it clear before we start, these missions are not hard. Hell, the total recording time I've got of these is like, not even 30 minutes on the file. There's no super impressive micro, no mega DPS check bosses. We don't even get a gravedigger in any of this. But that's not exactly what we're focused on in an update literally called Story Mode, is it? No, you're here for the lore and all that, which I respect. That's why I'll have this super advanced story screen, aka SAS, here to show you the story in super ultra detail after I go over the level's basic structure. No, it's not just a Google Slides presentation with movable pictures. Shut up. To start off, the tutorial got a huge revamp, now being named TDS Bootcamp. But it isn't anything too noteworthy story-wise, so I'll just cover it real quickly. Stage 1, aptly titled Bootcamp, gives you the Scout and the Sniper, which make pretty light work out of the basic hordes the game throws at you. Also, there's supposed to be a 400 coin reward here. I just didn't get it because I didn't record it the first time I did this. The second stage of the tutorial, Live Fire, gives you access to the Demo Man, who beats the entire stage on his own at level 2. Pretty cool stuff from a tower I never use. Maybe it's a sign for me to buy his golden form. And yeah, just like the last one, you do actually get coins for this. I'm just going back and doing a re-record. Stage 3, Breach Protocol, actually did give me the slightest bit of a fright, as the boss of the stage, the Necromancer, did slip by my initial demoman. Fortunately, the sell price in the tutorial is 100% of whatever you put in the tower, so I was able to fully reinvest that money into a scout, who made mincemeat out of the Necromancer. I also had a really cool potential idea for how the tutorial could have gone. It'd be really cool if it went to 6 out of 5, and then it like completely flips your loadout. That'd be cool. That would have been a really cool way to do that. Paradoxum, if you're watching, which you probably aren't, I don't blame you, but if you are, you might want to add this one. It could be pretty cool. Now as promised, Stage 4, aptly named Brute Force, does actually have a big threat, that being the Brute. I didn't know he deserved having the entire stage named after him, but, you know, good for him regardless. I ended up using Soldier this time around, seeing that Demo Man certainly wouldn't have the damage output that I needed to take care of the Brute very easily. It's not like I was worried I would lose, I just really wanted to get it done with quickly, so I could get to the real story. Okay, yeah, so I got 400, 100, 100, 250, so 600, 850, yeah, not bad for like a 10-minute tutorial, if even. Overall, the tutorial's not too bad, and 850 is a great amount of cash to start the game off with for basically free. It teaches you about upgrading, detections, even targeting options, the basics you would need to strive in, well, I mean, any time you play the game, really. As long as you have a spare 8 minutes of your time, I'd highly recommend playing the tutorial if you haven't already, even if you already know how to play. It's a really low agency way to get a free 850 to your coin count. And now we get to the actual exciting stuff, TDS Origins. Each map has a suggested tower, and this first one wasn't lying that I'd want to bring Demo Man. As I started the first mission, aptly titled Ghost Town in the Abandoned City map, I noticed something was different about it. Where did all the buildings go? There's supposed to be like a building here and like a building here and like you can literally see the floor plans for the buildings. What the hell? Okay, that's kind of bizarre. Now, normally, the map has a few buildings where the curves are, acting as cliff spots for towers like Sniper, who have decent range, but not enough to make them fully optimal by placing them on the buildings to the sides. It's small, but it's neat to even see these small changes to the actual map itself. It gives story mode that little bit more of charm that I wanted to see out of it. But anyways, after I was done making my little discovery, I found that there was another cutscene waiting for me.
Your mission is to find the survivors and bring them back to base. Eliminate the zombies as needed. You don't want to attract anything you can't handle.
This town held out 6 months longer than anyone expected. There were only a few hundred remaining survivors after the evacuation. All of them said the same thing. They'd rather take their chances out here instead of heading to the city.
Who could blame them? The cities aren't exactly paradise. They're crowded and every day you're fighting for work just to survive. The way I see it, these guys just chose a different kind of survival.
We've attracted the horde. They need to be cleared before moving forward.
Everybody, gear up. Secure the area and search for survivors. Come on, recruit. Let's see what you've got. Over there! Fire!
A cute little bit of characterization of everyone, like how Minigunner's lazy and Sniper's Irish. The gameplay isn't that difficult or lengthy, with the whole thing being only 6 waves long. The enemies are clumped up, which explains the insistence on using Demo Man for the stage. A few armored enemies gave me a bit of an issue, but the moment I remembered I could spam level 2 soldiers like the game usually wants me to in normal games, it went by pretty easily. Oh, and before I forget, here's the 1-2 on what's going on down here. Here, the TDS organization's rescue force, as I'll call them, is searching the abandoned city for survivors after getting a distress signal. Commander briefly explains that it was one of TDS's original rescue stops when the outbreak started, with only a few of the original survivors staying back, although we don't know exactly when that rescue happened. I'd be inclined to think that Commander specifically takes the job to check back on it every so often out of a sense of duty to watch over those who stayed behind the original rescue. Regardless of his intentions, Commander assigns Sniper and Soldier to go search, while we are left to defend the area and allow the two of them that time to search. Unfortunately, after Sniper and Soldier rummaged through the entire city, they found that everyone left in what seemed to be a rush, especially seeing how there was still a good amount of medical supplies and food left. Figuring the survivor group would still have some kind of radio devices, or some other way to get an eye on them, Commander suggests they go to the Army Forest Camp to try to track them down or speak with them over the radio towers in the base, seeing how it would be extremely dangerous for a group of survivors to be wandering the wastes outside of what TDS has under control. Stage 2, Radio Silence, drops us into, you guessed it, the Forest Camp map. Unfortunately, there's no cutscene or major changes to the map that I can point out, so I'll instead let you guys in on a little mishap I had with recording. Let me know if anything feels off to you about this clip I'm about to show you. Wait, where is everyone? This place was built only a few months ago. Minigunner, Soldier, help the recruit create a parameter. Sniper, find a vantage point and let me know what you see. We need to figure out our next move. I'm sure most of you realize by now that I was reading out the lines myself. Yes, there is actual voice dialogue that's meant to be here, but okay, I'll be real with you. I got so used to playing hardcore with a friend that I've kinda had the sound for dialogues turned off since that initial hardcore revamp. I didn't turn off the actual text boxes themselves because they were useful for tracking what threats came on which wave. So if you're wondering why I'm not just putting the voice dialogue from my recording into this video, that's why. Gameplay-wise though, the stage recommended the Soldier more heavily in the lobby. explaining why there were more high health enemies than hordes this time around. The stage ended with the Necromancer. Ooh, scary. Yeah, he went down about as easily as you'd expect him to go down in the face of Golden Soldier. Oh, that reminds me, I never really mentioned my loadout properly, did I? I'll be honest, when I was making this loadout, I don't really know what I expected out of this game mode. I mean, I didn't think it'd be hard, like, at all. Hence why I brought Demo and G-Soldier. That and the game asked me to bring those two in that little suggestion box on every mission, but still. Farm was initially brought because I didn't know how long each match would be, and DJ was my emergency support, just in case there was some kind of spike my main two couldn't handle alone. Merc Base was just kind of there in case I needed it for any reason, but, you know, with how this has all been going so far, I don't really think I'll need it. But anyways, let's get back to SAS, shall we? Okay, so, as the rescue force gets to the forest camp, they notice something eerily similar to the city they just left. There's nobody here either, which is strange to Commander, as even he knows this base is relatively new, being made just a few months ago. When Dispatcher, who radios in with the Commander, tells them their radio towers were taken out by the zombies in the area, Commander sends Sniper to set up a radio amplifier so they can keep comms. Sniper goes to the top of what I can only assume to be the little cliff spot right next to the first U-shape in the track, and gets communication with Dispatcher back. In the meantime, we get a little lore drop on why we, the player, are there, with Commander telling Soldier that we're part of a new leadership role in their division. Not soon after, Dispatcher gives us a location of the survivors, and we head off again in pursuit of them. Stage 3, titled Off the Rails, finds us on the map U-Turn, again with no obvious changes to its layout. To be fair, it'd be hard to change anything about U-Turn placement-wise without completely kneecapping its cliff placements, so I'm not too dismayed about it looking the same as usual. The stage again suggests the use of Soldier the heaviest, which checks out when you look at its more HP-based enemies instead of horde-based like the last stage. It especially makes sense when you look at the stage's final boss, the Slow Boss, arguably one of the most iconic early DPS checks that stayed from way back in the day. I'm certain you figured out by now that these bosses just follow the progression of Easy Mode's lineup, which, while a little disappointing to me, makes sense. It introduces new players to the bosses and what their gimmicks are, ensuring that they know what works best against them. Hell, even for myself, I don't see these guys too often since I mostly play Frost or Hardcore, so it was quite nice to see some refreshed, familiar faces again in-game. As the group gets to the distress signal's location, Commander and Soldier both recognize familiar faces hidden in a building. Commander recognizes Demo Man, while Soldier finds a completely new face to us. A character called Hops. Interesting finally seeing someone actually get a nickname outside of their combat capabilities again. The last time I remember that happening was when Professor V was introduced. But anyways, the reason these two weren't sticking around the abandoned city like they were supposed to is because they saw another distress signal out here, and left their post to aid survivors outside of the relatively safe city's grounds. The two of them and Commander discuss getting the survivors still with them back to safety, but they have conflicting routes in mind. They agree on having the injured folks stay in the APC on the more established roads, while the more able take a walking/appropriate rushing speed shortcut across railroad tracks to get to a train that leads to Cyber City, which I can only assume is the map of the same name. Finally, we find ourselves at the last of the first batch of missions released in this week's update. Technically there are supposed to be 4 more after this, but I figured this would be a key way to make this a 2-parter video by covering the first half separately from the second half coming later this week. It also makes the workload a lot lighter on myself doing it this way, just in case it takes too long to get out in the second half releases. Anyways, the fourth and final of this video, mission, Burning Bridges, puts us on what I can only assume to be an entirely new map, called Severing Connection. At the very least, I've never seen it before in the 6 years I've been playing this game. It reminds me of that old version of Dead Ahead that we had on release, but obviously this one's way longer, and akin to Dead Ahead, I did actually have a few leaks that were pretty bad. And just when I thought all hope was lost. That's right, I told you it'd be useful eventually. I'm sure you guys didn't believe me, and if you did, thanks? Anyways, the rest of this run wasn't too bad, especially with me remembering to spam level 2 G-Soldiers and the fact that even base Mercenary Base has a massive DPS value for what it's worth. The speedy boss went down without too much of a fight, and the game surprised me with the last cutscene of this week's release of story content.
We need to go, now! Come on, y'all, we're getting out of here!
The charge is stuck! I need a few more seconds. Just go! I'm right behind you!
We're leaving you behind!
Move! Get to the tunnels! Hey, we're leaving! You think setting a bomb is easy?
Devil!
Almost. Oh no! Run!
Some pretty intense stuff going down, all things considered. I remember feeling pretty betrayed by Paradox when we were left on that cliffhanger of, did they survive? After I finished playing. Hey, speaking of things that come after playing... Now on the way to the railroad tracks mentioned earlier, the APC gets stuck as the group realizes the bridge was blown out. Luckily, someone made an impromptu connection to the railroads just next to the bridge. Although, the next biggest issue, the zombies, still haven't let up the chase. Demoman gets a grand idea to blow the bridge's connection to the mainland smooth to the sky after the APC makes it across, with Sniper, Soldier, and Hops agreeing to hold the bridge down for long enough that Demoman can set up the explosives properly. In the meantime, Minigunner and us, as the recruit, lead survivors through the railroad tunnel, while Commander ensures that the APC stays trackable, just in case the group loses sight of it in the future. Demoman struggles a little with the crappily put together timer on the bomb, and that struggle is what results in him and Hops getting taken down into the water with the bridge and the zombies in that cutscene. And that's the story we've got so far. Personally, I'm waiting on the edge of my seat to find out what's happening next. Or, I guess to find out what's already happened, since this is all prequel content. Again, even if the content's not the hardest we've ever gotten, it still is really fun to utilize these towers that I hardly ever touch in my own gameplay on other game modes. Demoman especially, I mean, it surprised me with its performance, reminding me why that no splash fall off it has is so impactful. Okay, now that you've made it to the end, I would seriously like to thank you so much for actually watching all this. I'm sure you could tell from looking at my past community notes, but if you haven't looked, I've really been meaning to make something like this for a long time. Hell, I've been meaning to make anything video-wise on this channel for the longest time. Life just kept finding ways to back me off of what I want to do, but, you know, fortunately, it didn't push me back far enough to make me give up on this channel entirely. With that being said, by all means, if you thought this video was good, leave a like and let me know what you liked about it in the comments. And if it wasn't, you know, don't leave a like and tell me how much it sucked and what I could change in the comments too. Just remember that I'm the Nerdy Chewy, you're all fantastic, and that I'll see you nerds later. And this time, I guarantee you, that's a promise.